Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your coffee, your tea, and sit back and let's talk about the astrology for the day. I love it because today feels it feels different. It feels interesting. It feels those are all very carefully prepared words, but it feels kind of less energetic, let's say, than what some of the other days have felt like in the past. Even though there's lots going on today. Good morning, Marlene. It's good to see you out there. It feels like today may be a mixed bag of energies, let's say that. But I don't necessarily sense anything drastic or bad, but just like there's this undercurrent going on today that I can't quite put my finger on. Good morning, Angie. It's good to see you out there. I'm very excited today is my starseed reading with Angie. If you recall last week, she was on our morning show talking to us about starseeds, which are people who have entertained lives on other star systems and who come to this planet with the history of having interacted with these other cultures. And I'm excited. I'm really excited. I know a couple of others of you have had, or at least ordered your starseed report. I don't know if you normally do a reading with that for the people that order the report, Angie, but I'm really looking forward to it because yesterday when I read my report, I went, whoa, boo, head explode. And so I'm really looking forward to talking with you later on today. Good morning, Mimi. It's good to see you out there. It is kind of a slow morning. I think I'm going to need more than just one cup of coffee to get the sleepies out of my eyes. Thank you very much to the allergies that have begun here for me, where it always begins in my eyes. At night, I want to tear my eyes out. So time probably to start getting some allergy things. Angie says they are coming today and they are getting videos also. Woo woo. That's so cool. So if you haven't gotten your starseed reading yet, and I can tell you because I haven't had the reading yet, but I've gotten the report, it's awesome. And it is incredible how some of the things that I've felt throughout my life equate to the star systems that she's told me that I came from and or that my astrology has told her. And I'm sure she's also intuitive and enough to bring out what her intuition is about where I've been and what I'm doing. Good morning, Suzanne. Mimi says she ordered a starseed report and she's looking forward to the info. Woo woo. Yep. Good job. And let's see, somebody else popped in here. Roseanne. Good morning, Roseanne. And anyway, so let's get to the energy of the day. Angie, I can't say enough about what the work is that she does. It's cutting edge. It's lovely. Roseanne wants to know which one am I from. It looks like I'm mostly from Andromeda. And something really jumped out at me about the Andromedans that no one, not one of you, not one of my friends, maybe my husband knows to be true about me. And it's this, that there's a sense about why should I have to pay to be on this planet, to live on this planet, to rent a house or to buy a house? Why should I have to pay to do that? I'm always thinking like, why do the whales have to pay to take up their part of the ocean? Are the dolphins having to pay to take up their part of the ocean? Do the insects, the bees certainly don't care. They just plop themselves wherever they want to be. And why do we have to pay? That's a concept that's just, it's hard for me to understand. Yes, you can talk to me on the practical side of things and it gives work to people. It's just a part of our economic system, yada, yada, yada. It just still doesn't make sense to me. And when she said that, or when it was, I don't know, Angie, if that's typical of the Andromedans or if that's something you picked up on me personally, but I went, whoa. And there was several others as well, but that one just blew me away because there's not a person in the world that I've ever really told that to. It's just this feeling that I've always had about the, I don't know, hypocrisy maybe of it all. I don't know. So it's well worth it if you can get it. It's not very expensive. I was pleasantly surprised. So please look her up. She is very interesting in the work that she's doing. So today is going to be, like I said, I started out the broadcast saying it's kind of an interesting day, hard to pin down the words that I want to use for the day. And of course, that's because the moon is in Pisces. When the moon is in Pisces, several things happen. And none the least of which is that feeling that we all have of interconnectedness. It reminds us that we are all interconnected, that there's this web of life and we're all interwoven into it, whether it is just us interwoven with people, or if we're interwoven with plants and the trees and the animals, the minerals, the whole of the earth. It reminds us of that interconnection. And I just saw Londa pop in. Good morning, Londa. And anybody else there? No. So it's one of those kind of days where we can at once feel that connection to everyone else. But we sort of end up with blurred lines on a day like today, where the connection is there. We see the interconnection, but what gets blurred is the boundaries that we have between our own responsibilities and other people's responsibilities. It reminds me of when we were looking at Chiron in the last degrees of Pisces, and we were talking about victim and savior energy and the blurred lines when you reach out to help somebody. What is yours to deal with, and what is the responsibility of the other person to deal with? Nobody's a victim, and you can't save everybody. So that's kind of brought up to us today. This is also a day of increased sensitivity. And I was feeling my way into this, and I'm thinking it's not just sensitivity emotionally. Good morning, Libby. It isn't just that sensitive emotional side, although that's a part of it, but there's a sensitivity to the environment today, to criticism today, to that. There's just a vulnerable feeling that's kind of running in the behind the scenes energy of the day. So we may be more vulnerable to things that people say to us. Try not to react. If somebody says something inadvertently that hurts your feelings, it's a possibility that isn't what they meant at all. It just happened to come out wrong. There's also a sensitivity to the environment today. So I was thinking about that. I'm this is my favorite weather that's happening here today. It's cool, it's cloudy, but it's windy. It makes me want to just say, screw everything today. I'm going to go take a walk, right? I just want to be out in that air. There's just a real affinity for the environment today, a sensitivity to what's happening with the weather, with the animals, with the trees, with everything, including, as I said this morning, my eyes itching because of allergens in the air. There's that sensitivity. Also to sensitivity to sounds, to smells, to foods, to materials, and a lot of different things today can set off our sensitivities. So just be aware of that. But overall, this becomes a day of increased unconditional love and compassion and understanding for our fellow human beings. If you happen to be someone who's psychic or intuitive or a healer, this is going to be a fabulous couple of days. In fact, I want to say, hold the phone. The moon is in Pisces all of today, all of tomorrow, and just a teeny weeny bit of Friday morning. So we've got a couple of days here of this kind of sensitivity. And good morning, Michelle. Londa says, ooh, walk. We could something. We could walk this afternoon. Absolutely, Londa, you're on after 3:30, I believe. I have a client from 2 to 3:30. So after then, we can go for a walk. Hopefully it's still like this and not hot and sunny like it was yesterday morning. Good morning, Marlene, again. Oh, she says nice. Yes, because Londa just lives about, I don't know, maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles from me. Maybe it's further. I haven't tried to walk to her house from where I live, but I would imagine I would be tired by the time I got there. So, Londa says oneness. Yes, oneness is part of it. Angie, aren't you a Pisces? If I remember correctly, you might be a Pisces. Anyway, so those things that are all psychic, or healing energies are all favored today, as in, we are more in tune perhaps with what's going on with the people around us. We may be more in tune with what's going on within us, and that gives us an insight into how we can use our energy better. Yes, Angie says she is a Pisces. So glad I got that right. There are times I do a lot of different readings, and sometimes people hit me up and I think, oh yeah, I did your chart and you were a Leo, but no, they had a Leo rising, but they're actually a Gemini. So after a while, they get all jumbled up in your head. So what is this a good day to do, right? Because we're living astrology, and sometimes I get caught up in all of the stuff that I want to tell you that I forget that, yeah, there's a practical side to why it is I get up every morning and do this with you. And the reason I do this with you is so that you know how to live your life and you understand what the energies are. And maybe when someone blows up, unexpectedly, or when something unexpected happens in your life, that you go, oh yeah, that as above, so below, something's happening here on the planet as a result of something maybe that's going on up in the heavens. Well, sometimes it's good to know, like when we have this kind of an energy, what is it that I can do today that makes it practical? And that's a good point, because Pisces is anything but practical. It's very etheric energy. It is woo-woo in its extreme. Its ruler is the planet Neptune. The planet Neptune is very spiritual. It rules waters, the waters of the oceans, the depths of the oceans, and something that you can't contain. It's all about spirit, something that you can't contain. So this energy brings us to the brink of everything that is out of our control. But there are some things that we can use, or we can do with this energy, that are quite useful. Number one, go out and volunteer to do something, help somebody, get involved in your community, maybe in a humanitarian effort. Practice random acts of kindness and generosity. Accente on the generosity, because when I get into the next segment here, we're going to see that there's a real financial, money, and value connection to the day. Swim, maybe not here in the Northwest. The waters are still in the 50 degrees. It might be too chilly, but if you have access to a pool, go for a swim. If you don't have access to a pool or a lake that's temperature wise able to be swum in, get in the bathtub, do a Londa, get into the Epsom salts or the bath salts or the wonderful scent of oils, and relax in a tub, meditate, visit an art gallery. Mimi, I thought you would like that, right? It's a great day to entertain the arts, right? The arts, the beauty of the arts. So maybe go to an art gallery, engage yourself in your own artistic behavior, your own artistic gifts and talents. Read a book, maybe get a great spiritual book, and maybe pick up that book that you've been meaning to read. Maybe your favorite Eckhart Tolle or Deepak Chopra, or what's my Gary Zukav book that you haven't read in a while. It's a great day to do that. Londa was just showing me fish. Yeah, maybe go fishing. Oh, those look like dolphins. Awesome. Go swim with the dolphins. If you're coming to me from Hawaii or Florida or someplace where you can do that, go swim with the dolphins. Great day to entertain all of that. In the grand scheme of things, there's really only two sort of major, if you will, contacts that are going on today that gave me any kind of pause. One is that the moon in Pisces is in a sextile to Saturn. Course in Miracles or the Sophia Code. Great books to read today. My Course in Miracles book is as important to me as my Gene Keys book. They're both right together, and I grab them all the time. Mimi says, a day of browsing ideas on Pinterest. Great idea. Great idea. If you have some kind of craft or decorations that you want to do for the summer, Pinterest is the place. So lots of great ideas of things that we can do today that are gentle, that are inspiring, that don't require a lot of effort on our part, kind of fun things to do. So, and that's an important thing because the moon, like I started to say, is sextile to Saturn. Remember, a sextile is a 60-degree angle, and a 60-degree angle brings out the gifts and the talents that we have and an ability to use them in some way. And remember, Saturn and the moon are often taking us into that more melancholic side of things. And the number one thing that I see that happens when the moon is in a favorable, and this is a favorable aspect to Saturn, is that we require time for solitude, time for aloneness, and meditation, yoga, taking a bath, or meditating, any of those kinds of things that we might do that are perfect for Pisces energy are also solitary pursuits. And it might be a very good day for that as Saturn and the moon take us into that space. Remember, yesterday we were talking about whether or not when the moon takes us into that space, if that's depression or sadness or that type of melancholy. And really, it can just be a creative space of incubating new ideas, directions, but it can also be an ability for you to recharge your batteries through the solitude of the day. So it is a good energy, but some people may feel a little bit low energy because of it, depending on the way that your chart is constructed. Today is also an abundance day. I I like this energy. This is sort of an outlier energy today that doesn't match up with the moon sextiling Saturn. It doesn't match up with the moon in Pisces necessarily, except for in one way. Pisces, being a water sign, connects us to flow, right? Anytime we're dealing with water, we're dealing with flow. With Pisces, we're also dealing with spirit and flow from spirit. So I want you to keep that in mind, because today, Venus, and I think I warned you about this earlier in the week, that Venus was going to be sitting at gate 45, which is the gate of, we call it the gate of the king or the queen, right? It's about this pool of abundance that sits there, and we want to tap into it and use it for our everyday expenses or for fun things, or taking vacations, whatever it is. It is a gate that doesn't necessarily filter how it should spend the money. So there's also a little bit of a caution in here, because sometimes you may just say, retail therapy is the answer today, right? I'm feeling kind of irritable, or I'm feeling like out of sorts, so I'm going to go shopping. And that may be okay. It may be okay, but it may also be a bad thing if you're pulling from funds that were meant for something else. So I want you to be aware of that. The moon, remember, moon in Pisces, is sitting at gate 55 for the first 2/3 of the day today. Gate 55, I don't know if we've really talked much about. I talk a lot about gate 55 with my clients, because it is the one gate, I think, that really points to the human evolution, and the human evolution as it is about how we deal with economics and how we deal with abundance. The gate 55 is literally called the gate of the abundance of spirit. It is a gate that connects us to flow, and that flow, sitting on the emotional center, is not connected to what you do. It is connected to how you feel. And if it feels good, it attracts more of what feels good. If it doesn't feel good and you're tapped into that in some serious sort of way, it's attracting more of what doesn't feel good. And especially when someone is attached to the feeling of whatever it is, instead of realizing that feelings, like water, flows. So the moon puts us in connection with that idea of flow, that there is an ebb and a flow to abundance in our lives. And when we talk abundance, naturally we think of money, right? It's money. That's how we tend to exchange value for value in this economic system that we're in. And Angie says, so I should stop working right now. Actually, Angie, if you're overworking, stop right now, right? Stop, just play. That's a really good way to use this energy. Londa also said sound healing with crystal bowls and Hathor. Um, I'm not sure. Hathor's an Egyptian goddess, and I can't remember what she's the goddess of, but sound healing and crystal bowls sounds pretty cool to me too. So great ideas for how to spend, this day. Um, so gate 55 really connects us with the idea that we are never meant to be in lack. Lack is something that we've generated from fear gates that are over on the spleen. Over on the spleen, we have all kinds of fear that has morphed from the real survival, the real primal survival energies that we needed and adopted when we were new on this planet, to the false evidence appearing real fears that we now use as reasons to stop us from tapping into flow, tapping into our heart's desires, tapping into all of the good that's here waiting for us. We align ourselves with it. Key there is align ourselves with it. So I remember I have gate 55 defined. It's my Mercury. So I should be talking about this all the time. And that's kind of funny that I don't always talk about gate 55, but I should be. It's my Mercury, but it's also my Chiron. And so I've also been wounded by this particular energy of abundance and flow. And it's an interesting sort of journey that I go on with it, because there are times where I see my business fall way down. And then I go into fear about, oh my gosh, all my bills are predicated on the fact that I have this income. And when I don't have that income, I freak out. I'm just like you. I freak out. And I end up thinking, oh my gosh, well, maybe it's time to not be an astrologer anymore. Inevitably, I go there. I always go there, not always publicly, but in my own head, I start to go there. So one day I started to go there. I'll never forget this day. I was driving along. There's this long road called Sunset Road, and it connects where I live to the main highway. And it's about, I don't know, maybe a 3-mile drive, not much on that road, just farm fields and some houses. And so I was, in what is that called? Road hypnosis. And all of a sudden I hear, I'm going to tell you, I heard God's voice in my head saying, you do what's put in front of you, and I will make sure that you're taken care of. And it was, I don't even have, it was indescribable. It was one of those, moments in your life where you are in receipt of an aha. And that is really what this gate is all about. Maybe the moon is here today just to remind us of that. You do what's in front of you, being in the now, right? Being in this moment, and I will take care of you. When I forget that, I freak out. When I can remember that, I'm calm, cool, and collected, and everything seems to just happen. And I enjoy every moment of whatever it is that I'm doing in the moment. When I get out of that, then I'm always worrying about what's not even yet developed or what may come in the future, or I'm hearkening back to the past going, well, what did I do in the past that worked that I'm not doing now? So great reminder for us today that abundance doesn't come from what you do. It comes from who you be, and it comes from following what feels good or what makes you happy. Interesting, right? So many times we believe that money comes to us from what we do. And there are reasons for that. There are money gates on the sacral, doing, if there is one. And the doing part of that is someone who likes to work for money. They enjoy it. They enjoy the idea of, I do this and I get paid. That's a part of who they are. But the fact that there is abundance and you can tap into it at any moment isn't a factor in what you do. It is about how you feel. And being happy is a magnetic, attractive force to bring that to you. So great reminder about that today. Now, I want to show you something, because there's a little, I want everybody to remember that, because that's the feel good energy of the day. And I'm going to show you the chart of the day. And hopefully you can see this pink. I should have used maybe, well, yellow wouldn't have shown up very good, but let's see. You see this pink triangle that I have outlined here? That is a I want to, there's two words that are used for this kind of thing. There's a quincux, which is the aspect that the planets are creating. And there's also an inconjunct. So inconjunct and quincux mean the same thing basically, but I have a tough time saying quincux. So I'm going to say inconjunct. And what you see here, let me see if I can grab a little pointer pen here. You see Venus, this is the planet Venus at the point of this aspect of this configuration. And at the base of it, we have Pluto and the black moon Lilith and Jupiter. So anytime we see this kind of, this is called a yod, by the way, the aspect being made is an inconjunct. So what we would say is that Venus is in an inconjunct or quincux to Jupiter, and Venus is in an inconjunct to the black moon Lilith and Pluto, who are in a conjunction, right, at this point of the game. But this whole configuration is called a yod, or the finger of God. And the nozzle end, the pointer end, is the piece that is getting the most of the energy. It's the directional. So if you have a hose in your hand and you're watering your garden, the point of wherever you're pointing the hose is where the energy of the water's flowing to, right? So the energy of this particular flow is moving toward Venus. And it brings up a bit of this restless energy when it's in conjunct with Jupiter, which is the one end. It brings up this restlessness, right? Where we just sort of feel like we need to do something to grow. You know, that word that I like to use sometimes, scritchy, where it's that kind of itchy, scratchy feeling, but I don't know where I have the itch. So, and no matter where I scratch, it doesn't go away. It's that kind of energy. It's disturbing, but it's also a little bit exhilarating, and it causes us to want to go out and do something. So if you tap into that energy today, that's where that's coming from. On the other side, Venus's connection to Pluto and to the black moon Lilith today may be an acknowledgement on your part that we are tapped into some kind of undercurrent. Sensing that there's this darkness below the surface. You know, I was watching, in passing, I was watching the news this morning, and I was watching, I think it was what our new Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, going to North Korea to receive 3 people who have been prisoners in North Korea to bring them home. And on one hand, I'm like, yay, awesome. That's awesome. That's a good thing. But immediately I thought, what is while, you know, there's this thing going on up here, what's going on under here? And it feels sort of cynical to me to have that, right? There's this good news, but I also sense something else going on in the undercurrent. Now I'm not certain whether that cynicism on my part from looking at everything 45 does with suspicion, or is that something energetically that I'm tapping into where there really is something that's unseen below the surface. And I don't have an answer to that, right? I don't have an answer to that because this energy isn't one that really gives us answers, but it does help us tap into the shadow, the part that we don't see clearly. And if in our own lives with the moon at gate 40 or Venus at 45 and the moon at gate 55, if indeed there's still something left of that victim savior energy, or if there's money issues that you still haven't cleared, and I'm going to throw out another word that's going to become very important here in a minute, abandonment issues that you're dealing with in your life, or it's coming back at you for some reason, then dig into that undercurrent and see if you can't bring back some reasonable thing that you can do to heal that for yourself or to release it so it's no longer in the undercurrent, right? Anything that we shine light on no longer can hurt us or harm us from under the surface. So I find that as something that we can do today. By the way, that restlessness with Jupiter and Venus can also be that we are struggling with our desires versus what the reality seems for us right now. So let's say, for example, if you're wrestling with a desire because maybe you want to take a vacation, but the reality suggests that, God, I don't have the money to do that right now. I don't have the time to do that right now, but I really want to go to Hawaii and sit on the beach. That may be the struggle that you're also feeling, you know, as part of the Venus Jupiter energy for the day, where, you know, we get these desires and they are very powerful. We really want to do it. And as long as we are disciplined and don't take action on that very powerful desire, unless and of course you've followed your type and your strategy and your authority in making that decision, in taking action on that desire, then the stark reality may make us feel like this is a struggle, like we're always struggling to get what we want. And that's irritating. That's really irritating. Roseanne says, that's me. And Londa says, ditto. And Mimi says, yikes, kinda, as today I am spending. Funds are available for long-awaited upgrades for my bedroom and such. Last day to have the assistance for pickup delivery. Spending carefully and wisely, and I would say justly, right? Because no doubt this is something you've planned on and isn't something that's a knee-jerk reaction to the energy of the day. Marlene says, cool. Angie, oh yeah, she should stop working right now, except for doing my reading because I want that today. So anyway, let's see here. Now, here's the reason why I bring up the word abandonment. In closing today, I pulled a card. The question was, what do we need to know for today? And, oh, Londa, great. Hathor, hold on, let me bring this up on the screen. It's a long one. Hathor is an ancient Egyptian goddess who personified the principles of love, beauty, music, dance, motherhood, and joy. She is one of the most important and popular deities throughout the history of ancient Egypt. Sound, and when they come in, the Arcturians come in as protector beings for the Hathors to do their work. The Arcturians raise the light quotient in our systems as well, bringing light through the brain and into different gateways of the body. So for me, sound will support my being today and will help move the struggles and clearing. Awesome. Thank you, Londa. That's awesome. And Roseanne says she works for money. And indeed she does, right? She does. She has gate 14 and she has the whole channel 14 to 2. She works for money and she receives money for the work that she does. And it validates her. It makes her feel good. Why? Because the connection from in that channel is from her sacral up to her soul center, her identity center. So if she were not to be able to earn money in some way, it would be a problem for her on the soul level. So thank you for sharing that with us. All right, so here's the card I drew. And trust me when I say I wanted to put it back in the deck. I tried. I didn't try to put it back in the deck. I tried to pull a modifying card because I wanted to know more, but one wouldn't come. And I just didn't have, and all of a sudden I had 10 seconds left to start the video. And so we are this card today. And the card is called Orphanage. Orphaned, not orphanage. Right? It is a card that looks very dark. It's the card number 5. And I pulled it upside down. I pulled it in protection mode. So let's look at the meaning of the card because it looks pretty scary actually. So the essential meaning of the orphaned card is a sense of loss and identity crisis, recognizing that you don't fit in, the need to belong, uncertainty about your place. Now, I don't know if this is for all of us at large, if this is for a specific individual who may be listening today, or people who may listen later. I don't know, because it feels to me a little bit out of sync with some of the other energies of the day, but that's okay because I can't question what the cards tell us. And remember, I'm using the Wisdom of the Oracle deck by Colette Baron Reed, and the protection message says, the shadow side of this card speaks to the essence of abandonment. Perhaps you feel a need to remain apart because intimacy is too threatening. It also warns against creating inappropriate family structures in order to conceal old wounds. It's time to address the unhealthy alliances you've formed and make a decision to heal the past. You will not be abandoned by the world if you claim yourself as whole. Not all relationships are dysfunctional, and not all of them will disappoint you. Don't abandon yourself. You can connect to others in a healthy way once you recognize your patterns and consciously choose to interrupt them. Life wants to love you. Let it in. So the message isn't a horrible message. I think even even in light of some of the emotional energies, maybe with gate 55 in the moon. The moon, how I've told you before, moves fairly quickly. So it spends a good chunk of the day at gate 55, but it also later on moves to gate 37. And let me see if I can pull my chart out so I can show you where these gates are so you can connect with them visually. I don't know about you, but I'm a visual person. So when I can connect visually, then it works for me. So gate 55 is right here on the emotional center. It's right in the middle, right? It's connecting down toward the root center. And gate 37 is also on the emotional center, but it is the gate of harmony, peace, serenity, and friendship. And it is part of the channel of community. It goes up to the identity or to the will center. And take a picture of the page you just read and please text it to me. I will do that, Londa. No worries. So what we see then are two very emotional gates today that the moon will be moving through. And as the moon moves through these gates, it evokes different energies. So maybe the emotional issue that's underlying anything to do with the flow of abundance for you or the anchoring of friendships for you has to do with abandonment, has to do with feeling orphaned in some way. So maybe all of us in some respects are carrying a piece of that, and maybe using the moon in Pisces today to into that a bit might be very beneficial. Don't take yourself into depression over it though, but just looking in, take a peek. Is it something that I am in resonance with? Is it something that is holding me back? That if I get involved in this community, if I get involved in a friendship, if I really get involved with my work and start to really be successful, am I going to get abandoned? Don't know, but that card showed up. I tried, guys. I really did try to get a different card. Oh, but it's almost like spirits laughing at me behind the scenes going, no, this is the one. This is the one. So there you have it. We have a good day, I think. Literally, we have a good day. It's always a good day, right? No matter what's happening, it's a good day. It's all about our perception. What do we feel about it? What do we perceive as happening in the energy of the day? I feel like, if we inject more love, more compassion, and caring for ourselves and for others into the day, that it will be a wonderful day. A heads up, I want to give you, good, Mimi, that's a good point. The card feels global, even though the energies support us individually. You're very true and right there, because Pisces is also a collective energy. It's a card that is the collective. Remember in the beginning of this morning, I said it reminds us of our interconnectedness, because it is that web of life and existence, and how we're all connected. Even the planetary energies are all connected. So that's a great reminder. Thank you. So Friday morning, I am going to be broadcasting live a half an hour earlier. I will be broadcasting. This is Friday. We have the weekend report, and I was faced with a choice. I either don't do it or I do it a half an hour earlier, because I need to leave to get my husband to Seattle for a doctor's appointment. And so I thought I would broadcast from 7:30 to, our usual 8, probably 45 minutes or so. So 7:30 a.m. Pacific time will be 10:30 a.m. East Coast time, and that's only on Friday. Tomorrow is the beginning of the Human Design Week. And so tomorrow we'll be looking at the energies through human design and what can we expect for the upcoming week. Let me give you a hint. It is being connected up through the Freak to Genius channel. There's juiciness here to be had for all. Can't wait to share that with you and talk about what does it mean to have the Freak to Genius channel in everybody's charts for the day, for the next week. In the meantime, I love you all. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.